Introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay, so my name is Morgan Rockwell. I run BitCoin Kinetics, and I'm making machines that talk to Bitcoin. So I've been making washing machines and gas pumps and parking meters that accept Bitcoin payment. So that's my daily work that I work on, and it's kind of in research and development right now. I have a couple machines, but no one's really buying the equipment, so I'm still making them look pretty right now.
Hey, turn on your light so everybody can see your pretty face.
Oh, I'm in the darkness here. I got the sun outside now. Yeah, my pretty face. My hippies don't have pretty faces.
Just want to make sure when we load this video up, everybody can see you, because I want to make
So
sure to get this information
I can see you, but I can't see me. So
You're
I don't
good.
know what I look like here.
You're good. All right, so you're building machines that will work with Bitcoin. So let's
Yes.
elaborate on this.
So I have a laundry machine in pieces right now that accepts $1.50 worth of Bitcoin, and the start button turns on. So I'm trying to market these devices that at least can be activated like a relay. So a little machine like this, I use Arduino microcontrollers, if you can see this piece.
Yep.
And this is a relay, and I hook it up with some software that I wrote, and it incorporates the Bitcoin payment protocol into the hardware. So when you send it a payment of my choice, like $1.50, the relay turns on, which turns on the start button on the laundry machine, or the vending machine, or the pool table, or it prints out a ticket, or it starts a timer on a parking meter. I'm making these kinetic machines because I got into Bitcoin with the intention on having it maybe stop World War III. And if
We're
Bitcoin
not
is
doing
a currency that's yeah, it's a little late, but
there you go. You're breaking up a little bit, brother. Can you still hear us?
like the United States or the Treasury Department. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. You're
Okay,
cutting up.
so my project in the end is to hope that well, my video went out there. I don't know, we probably have a bad connection.
It's all good. We can hear you though. Just keep going.
Okay. So what I would plan on doing is I've been talking with some politicians, and I've been writing letters to the Treasury Department. I'm trying to convince the last human beings left in the government that maybe they would like to abandon the Federal Reserve and create a cryptocurrency reserve. And if something like that happens, Germany has already said that Bitcoin could be used as private money. I have these machines that accept it. So the parking meters on the streets, the laundry machines, arcade machines, vending machines, they all are based on fiat. And I'm trying to add this little Lego-like piece that anyone could buy for 30 bucks at Radio Shack. Anyone could download my software. It's going to be open source. And someone in Saudi Arabia or in Africa or in China could turn their laundromat into a crypto laundromat, and they don't need me. They just took the design. So I'm trying to put the idea out there that this can be done, and a bunch of people have clamored and tried to ask me how it works. It's very simple. I mean, there are Bitcoin companies that allow you to accept Bitcoin on your website. The only thing is no one's dealing with the brick and mortar real world on the sidewalk. And I'd like to see some real world interactions with cryptocurrency, because then more people would pay attention to it. More people would realize that it's real if you see something happen when you make a payment, you know.
So your plan is to get different appliances and things like that in the real world that people can take the Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies and to apply them in real world situations. Now, would you see this turning into something more like, okay, like you have an entire laundromat and the whole place is Bitcoin, or there's just one Bitcoin device there, like where maybe it starts out as a novelty to some people before it catches on? How would you envision this? Did we lose him?
That's probably how it's going to be. I mean, in the moment, right now, these machines are pretty much useless unless. Okay, lost the video. So, can you hear me still?
Yeah, we can hear you. Don't worry about the video if it's cutting out.
Okay, I'm just going to keep that off because it's killing it. So, so the plan is, you know, you need to have 1 million people using Bitcoin in a town for that to be functional. You need to have people that are using Bitcoin already or have it in their pocket for these high cash flow machines like laundry machines to be used. So I'm in Portland, Oregon. I'm literally 3 blocks down the street from the Intel campus. So I'm definitely around a bunch of technical, you know, libertarian-minded people who want to try this Bitcoin technology out. I am trying to get the city of Portland to allow me to have one parking meter on one block to see if it works. After that, it may go to a couple more blocks, but it all needs to be profitable. If there's only one guy washing his clothes with Bitcoin every day, it's not going to pay. But if the laundry owner, laundromat owner puts one machine in, he has the only laundry machine on earth that accepts Bitcoin. He may get a lot of people traveling just to see the thing, and so it's kind of a novelty, kind of a proof of concept right now. But eventually, it's going to be more profitable because that guy that owns the laundromat has to pay a lot of money for insurance to house all those quarters on site. And if he gets robbed or pays for maintenance, the act of having cash on site is one big goal of my business. To remove the cash on site and put it back in a safe place would stop a lot of robbery, would stop a lot of insurance rates, from rising just because you have $50,000 in quarters on site. Another thing I would like to say is I'm working on a advocacy group to spread Bitcoin to the cannabis dispensaries and the cannabis industry, because in the same regards, a grower shows up at a dispensary with his plants and the dispensary has to have $50,000 plus cash on site. So they get raided by the cops and the feds and they get robbed all the time because that cash is always there. And the grower drives home with his cash and he gets arrested or pulled over and the police take his cash. So I'm trying to spread the idea that Bitcoin can stop robbery, can stop even authorities from taking your money. I had a nice conversation with the police officer after I walked out of the bank in the middle of the night out of the ATM, and she asked me if I was robbing the bank, and I told her, yeah, I make Bitcoin devices. I'm planning on making Chase go away. And she started asking me about Bitcoin technology, and it came up as, well, what happens if I arrest you and I take your drugs and your cash? I go, well, you can't take my Bitcoin, because it's freedom of speech. It's my private key. It's in my head, and I have the right to remain silent, and you will never know how to get my money. And that was the first time I saw a cop see that in her eyes, like, oh my God, what is this? And so that idea is going to be spread to the authorities of Earth, and eventually they're going to have to realize that there's nothing they could do about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin will go away, and Litecoin's still here, and Namecoin's still here. The idea of cryptocurrency is out of the bag. So I don't really envision Bitcoin being something like the United States would accept, or even like Germany. But if the euro collapses, Germany that heads the European Union says, hey, you could pay your taxes with Bitcoin, at least it's an alternative that a government is accepting. My idea is to make machines that allow this to be something that's tangible. Most people say that Bitcoin isn't tangible. Well, when it washes your clothes, it's tangible.
What happens when the governments around the world do start to accept certain cryptocurrencies and then they start to use them to fund wars?
See, that's the thing that really got me into Bitcoin, is the idea that it's a send-only currency. And that may change with Bitcoin. They may actually try to change that so that merchants can charge people. But if that really happens, people will move to another crypto. The idea that you can only send your Bitcoin and no one can take it from you is the big reason I got into it, because taxes are taken out of your checks by force, But if we all switch to a cryptocurrency that they cannot forcefully remove from your possession, tax becomes voluntary again, and it's going to be a choice of, hey, I'm not going to give you any money, but then they're going to start arresting people. So I don't know what the incentive is on funding a war. I'd hope that if Bitcoin was used and the idea of cryptocurrency was used, everyone would just refuse to pay for that. I'm only going to pay for private ventures. I'm going to pay for schools and potholes in the road and the utilities and almost, I wouldn't say privatize, but Bitcoin is creating a new crowdfunding model that will allow, I can pay for people's clothes to get washed in Saudi Arabia with my laundry machine. I could send $1.50 from here and the machine is credited and it works. That's another idea of crowdfunding machines is going to, we crowdfund on Kickstarter. Imagine, funding a parking meter or something for someone, you just send a penny, So the idea that the machines are networked, everyone's machines are the same, the machines will be everywhere on Earth and they'll all accept any type of crypto. So if Germany makes a crypto, if the US makes a crypto, if some club in the middle of Colorado wants to make a pot coin, they can anyone can make their own kind of cryptocurrency now the idea that any grandma or kid can make its own version of money, that's out there. And so what I've tried to do is make machines that perpetuate that idea so that people have things to touch. Because I'm a construction worker. I used to build houses, and I like building things, and you can't build houses in this country anymore. So I started building these computers that people would be able to hold in their hand, you know.
Well, what do you think? One more question before I let you go, brother, and we're going to take a couple more calls before we're out of here for the night. But what do you
Okay.
think about the recent revelations that, like in New York, where they're starting to attempt to prosecute or to at least question the authorities behind Bitcoin? Like they've talked about wanting to be able to install taxes at different points of service with Bitcoin. And just recently, one of the largest lobbies for Bitcoin was meeting with the U.S. government to decide, you know, what, okay, now they're accepting that Bitcoin, a court recognized Bitcoin as real money, but in that vein, they want to start trying to find some way to regulate it. And as you've said, that's very difficult, but I mean, I can see a couple ways that they might try to. What are your thoughts on that?
I think one of the first things they'll try to regulate is sending an IRS agent to your door and saying you didn't pay capital gains and you're going to be arrested unless you pay because they found you had Bitcoin profits. That'll be the first physical threat from the government, I think, if they would do anything. But right now, the people that went to Washington, D.C. pretty much educated the politicians. They needed some proper education from CEOs of Bitcoin companies. Most of the politicians don't even know what Bitcoin is, and the ones that know what Bitcoin is don't know how it works. So they kind of did a education summit to try to at least teach the Congress what they were doing and teach the Congress that they can't really go against the technology or suppress it because it would help the country. So I think it's, you know, another project I'm working on is the Bitcoin education projects. We're making a Bitcoin Academy and a Bitcoin boot camp. The education of teaching people how this stuff works and how it can help them is more important than anything. You know, none of this works unless people know what it is and how it works. So you have to explain it to the politicians. You have to tell the Federal Reserve that this is what they're going to have to switch to or they're going to go away. You have to express to the companies like Western Union and MoneyGram and PayPal that, hey, this is going to JP Morgan. I don't care about JP Morgan other than removing them from the country. I don't care about Congress unless Adam becomes president. And, you know, like I said, I'll be his gardener, you know, so I bypass them. I don't even want to deal with them.
You're going to be the Treasury Secretary, man. I appreciate you coming on and talking to us. And I applaud your efforts, man, because as we said, as I told you in our private conversations that, you know, I'm not the most knowledgeable on this either. So I appreciate your work and trying to get this message out to people. And we'll talk more about this in detail soon. I want to hear more about the Bitcoin Academy. Thanks for calling in.
For sure. Yeah, thank you, man.